I'm Realtor Nick Bellmore, and this is your guide to the earnest money deposit. So one of the first things that comes into play when we put a real estate transaction together is the earnest money deposit, or the EMD. And some people will refer to it simply as the deposit. There's no rules here in the state of Michigan as far as what the deposit has to or can be. It can be as little as zero, and it can be many times the total purchase price. Now, of course, would that be silly because the excess deposit would have to be returned? Absolutely, unless it's otherwise stated in the contract. So there's no rules about what the amount of a deposit has to be, and we have to really be able to negotiate each case independently. And that being said, typically, sellers see a deposit, especially a higher deposit, as an item of security. It shows that the buyer's serious and has something at risk, because typically the point of the deposit is for the buyer to have something to forfeit if they were to breach the terms of the contract. So the earnest money deposit is going to be collected early in the transaction, within 48 hours of acceptance here in the state of Michigan. And it's held by either one of the brokers or even the title company, and then credited towards the final cost at the end. A deposit can be negotiated to be non-refundable, and the terms around it can be spelled out in the contract in any way agreed upon by the buyer and seller. However, typically the deposit will be returned if the buyer's unable to obtain financing or be approved for their financing, or oftentimes if they're dissatisfied with the results of the inspection with the home. Or if the deal wasn't to close and it wasn't the fault of the buyer, oftentimes then it is going to be refunded as well. So a little bit about the earnest money deposit. It can be really negotiated to fit the situation, and it doesn't have to be a specified amount. However, to get a seller to take us seriously, it has to be typically a significant amount. What is that amount? It could vary market by market, and it can just totally vary seller by seller. So you need a great agent to negotiate the right thing for you every time. If you have more questions about the earnest money deposit or any of the other topics that we talk about in this series, feel free to send me a message, and I would love to get those questions answered or make a video about a topic we missed.